Mini skirt on, dip my body in glitter. Platform sneakers, all the boys want a picture. Two foreign cars, I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with ya. Mini skirt on, dip my body.
Hello. You're now tuned in to the A Little Bit A Lot podcast. I'm your host, Kristen, and welcome back to another episode. This week, I am so excited because, as I mentioned previously, we are talking about life size, and I am joined by the host of the Everything 90s podcast, Shaleena.
Hello, A Little Bit A Lot podcast listeners. I'm excited.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Welcome. If you guys have listened to the episodes that I've been featured on her podcast, know that we had a blast. Okay. We had a ball every single time we link up. It is a key. So I'm so glad that you're on my show.
I'm excited too. I think about the Casper episode all the time and the 90s versus 2000s dance trends all the time. Like it's great. It's always, as you said, it's always a fun moment with you. And the thing I love about podcasting is not just, creating episodes, putting them out there. It's meeting fellow podcasters that are genuine and they have good stuff out too. They put that positive energy out too. So really blessed to call you my friend, my podcast friend. So
yes,
excited
same.
to be here.
Like we are really podcast besties at this point. Like we are locked in, ain't no switching up.
Yes.
Like we always support each other. We're always down for each other. And I just appreciate that because it's hard, like you said, to find like genuine people in this space. Some of the people are like, what are you doing here? But
it's true.
You, like, it's genuine. We actually care about what we do. We have a good time doing it. So I've just been trying to think about what was the perfect, episode for you to be able to come on. And you guys know I like talking about music. I like talking about movies as well. So I thought, why not talk about Life Size? Because this was one of my favorite movies of all time growing up.
Same.
Yes. Okay. I'm so glad. Because I figured that, I'm like, we usually have around the same taste. So I figured that you probably would have liked this movie too.
Yeah, you got it right. Yeah.
I'm so glad I guessed right. And I know that, her podcast is Everything 90s. This movie did come out in 2000. So I was like, well, we're on the cusp. It came out a couple months after 99. So I was like, we should still be Gucci to talk about it. When it comes to this movie, I also I wanted to make sure I mentioned that when I previously talked about it, yeah, it's on Disney Plus, guys. Wrong. That was before I looked. That was before I double checked.
I thought it was on it as well, but
yes,
Mandela effect, I guess. I don't know.
Literally, guys, are we wrong or what? Is it giving Mandela effect or not? Because we could have sworn that this movie was on Disney Plus, and then when I went to go prepare to watch it for this episode, I'm looking it up on Disney Plus. I do not see it. I'm looking up Reddit threads. People are like, "Yeah, where is it? What's going on?" And it's it's not even available on streaming anywhere else either. I couldn't find it on Paramount, all the thousands of streaming. We have all of these streaming platforms for what? And we can't find Life Size? But then there's a cassette that you could buy for $98 on eBay?
Oh, wow.
That is literally insane.
Wow.
We need to wake it up. Disney Plus, I'm talking to you. What's going on? The people on Reddit are theorizing that it has something to do with the music, the soundtrack. I don't know if there's issues going on with the legalities of the music or whatever, copyrights, but we need to wake it up. This movie deserves to be on Disney Plus or at least some streaming platform. Shoot, I'll even take Netflix. It needs to be available because I had to go through the trenches to go find this on some random place.
Same.
Yeah, so that was really upsetting me and my homegirl.
It's upsetting me and my homegirl because we feel like, well, damn, if you can't go to bed on no chase, what the hell could you go?
But
we found it.
They found it. Because you better believe we're going to figure it out, okay? So, yes, let's get into the movie and let's talk about this because this movie is so iconic and legendary, and even watching as an adult, I feel like it still stands for everything that it, represented and the emotions that it brought out of me as a kid. There's so many different life lessons that they touch on with girlhood, with grief, with family, so many important things that are, good principles for kids to learn, and also adults to continue to just keep in check and, remind themselves of as they grow up that, you know, they touched on in this movie. So I want to talk about all of that. But before we do, if you're watching on YouTube, give this video a like, comment down below to let me know what you think about Life Size, and subscribe. Also be sure to subscribe to the Everything 90s YouTube channel as well.
Thank you.
Follow on Instagram at, is it Everything 90s?
Yep, podcast.
Everything 90s podcast. Do you have a TikTok?
I don't. I'm scared of that. Just like the people in the comment section just seem so
No, yeah, they're more intense.
mean and
they're
intense.
in like YouTube shorts. They tear me up over there.
Yeah, I'm nervous and scared. I'm just like, let me just stick to Instagram.
And where else can they find you?
Yeah, Instagram, YouTube. My podcast is on Spotify and iTunes. Those are the main ones there. YouTube, I'm new to it, so yeah, it took me a while to warm up to YouTube. So I'm gaining more confidence doing that.
Yes, I love that you have your episodes on YouTube. I've been eating those up every single drop. So make sure you guys subscribe over there and listen to both of us on Spotify and Apple. Rate that 5 stars and leave a review to let us know what you think about our show. So when it comes to Life Size, I think the biggest thing that stood out to me as a kid was just the black girl representation that they chose to display with Eve. Yes. Like, during the time, it was really important as a kid that my mom bought me primarily black dolls. And, like, at the end of the day, I didn't discriminate. Like, I didn't care if a doll was white. If the outfit was eating down, I wanted it too. So she let me have, like, a few white dolls. But for the most part, I had to have black dolls. I'll never forget when they had Brandy, when she had her first doll that came out. Oh my God, I'll never forget that day. I came home and she had her sitting on my bed and I was geeked.
Aw, that's so cute.
And I wonder, do you know if they made actual Eve dolls after this movie?
Not that I'm aware of. Definitely not in Canada if they did, but I'm not sure. Yeah, even when I was looking up fun facts, that didn't come up either. But
missed opportunity there if they didn't.
Yeah,
because some of the looks that she was serving just ate down. I'm like, as a kid, when they first start the movie and they show the Eve ad,
yes,
I ate that up then and I'm eating it up now. Like, are you kidding me? Every single different scenario where it's like just the classic, like Barbie, right?
Yes.
Just like Barbie and Mattel. Eve's a cop, she's a lawyer, she's a doctor, she's doing all of these things, and every single different scene that they showed in that commercial, I'm like, oh, I want that doll, I want that doll, and I want that doll.
The green trench coat, like the green raincoat, the like plasticky texture one, I was just like, oh yeah, I remember liking that.
Yes,
I want that now.
Number 8. Every single one of Eve's fits were on point. Not only on the doll, but in IRL. We didn't see her in a bad fit. Like, are you kidding me right now? So loved that down. And when they start the movie, they're showing the ad for, like I said, the dolls, the Eve commercial, and then it cuts to reality, and it shows that unfortunately the kids are not buying the Eve dolls as much. They want electronics.
I don't want a doll. I want something with microchips.
And that is such a sad reality. Even as a kid, I'm like, guys, wake it up. Like, electronics are fun, but like, I didn't stop playing with dolls until like middle school.
Same. I think that's around the same time I stopped. So around when this movie came out, I was 8 because I have a late birthday. So I was still playing with dolls during this time as well.
Same.
Yeah.
And I think when this movie came out, I was 4, but I didn't watch it obviously until like years later. But even then, like you said, I was also still playing with dolls, but also can still like appreciate a good electronic. So I'm like, guys, you're tripping. Like, you can have both. You can have the best of both worlds. No Hannah Montana. Yeah. Like, wake it up. Are you serious right now? Like, I just remember as a kid being like, they are tripping. Eve dolls eat. And I felt pretty bad for the store shop owners, because they were like, what's going on? Like, the kids do not want the Eve dolls. And then we learned that the main person, the main role, Casey, who's played by Lindsay Lohan.
Shout out to Lindsay.
Literally give her her twins, bro. Like, have we seen any bad movie that Lindsay Lohan has been in as a kid?
I have not.
I have not either. Like, did you live for Lindsay as a kid growing up the way that I did?
I did. Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yeah. I loved her as well as Hilary Duff. I know back then they were feuding, but I loved them equally.
Right.
Lindsay's album I had, Speak, solid album. I listened to it in current times. Still a great album. So.
I need to run that back. I don't think I've ever heard that.
It's a great album. I'm
familiar with Hillary's music, but not Lindsay's music.
Get on that.
Yes. Okay, recommendation, guys. Go ahead and stream that for real. No, I need to run that back. But Lindsay Lohan, I don't even know. Like, they just don't make the child stars like this no more. They really don't. Like, why is she so one of one? I don't understand. And it's like, I'm not even trying to be biased here, but it's like, she's gonna eat it up every time you put her on the job, you put her on that freaking payroll. She's gonna chew the roll up, and she did just that with this. I think she was able to give us such different, like, raw emotions throughout this film.
Yes. The crying, the anger, the, like, annoyed face, like, the sarcasm. Yeah, she nailed it.
She was so witty. She was so cunning. She was so quick. Stuff like that just cannot be taught. Lindsay Lohan as a child actress is just literally such a natural. And in this role, she just, like, give her 10s, eats down, because she's like a angsty, like, tomboy in this role. We first learned that, you know, she's on the football team, which is like...
I think she's the only girl too.
Yes.
I was like looking, I'm like, is there any other girls? I think she's the only one.
Didn't see nan other girl, and we stand. As a kid, that was the first time that I'd seen a girl be on a boy football team, and I ate it up then. I'm eating it up now. I'm like, Casey, you do your big one on that team.
You know, as a kid, I don't think I really took that in.
Right.
That she was the only girl on the team. Like, it didn't really... I'm just like, oh, she's playing football.
Oh my God. See, for me, it blew my mind. I was like, whoa, gender norms, we're breaking those.
That's how I was now as an adult watching it. I'm like, oh, snap. Okay.
Yes.
Ahead of their time.
Exactly. They truly were ahead of their time. Casey was on the football team. And she's kind of just going through her, like, little angsty, like, preteen era because, you know, unfortunately, I think it had been, she said, 2 years since her mother had passed away. So she's just going through the gags, and she is just clearly, you know, needs therapy for dealing with her emotions and her big feelings and her grief, you know, the passing of her mother. So she's kind of just letting those feelings out in football. And she's just, like, not the best team player. She's arguing with her teammates, calling them losers and all these type of things.
I think she calls him a wiener.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It's just like,
I was like, girl, what? Like, she is not playing with them boys. But at the same time, it's like, I'm like, wait, you're kind of eating up, though. Because it's like, what are you not about to do is play me just because I'm a girl. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here to slay. What are you going to say about it? And I love that fierce little attitude that she had. And we realized that she's also just, like, really upset because her dad, like, never makes it to any of her practices, never makes it to any of her games. We stand the trope. You know, it's always just like,
classic.
Dad's never around.
Classic trash dad trope. Yeah. And, like, the last 5 minutes of the movie, they turn around.
Right. It's like you see it coming from a mile away, but I'm going to eat it up every single freaking time. Are you serious right now? So her dad is not there. Of course, he's working. We realized that, like, while he's at work, he also has a female coworker that, like, high-key has a crush on him. And she's like, hey, like, I could come over and, like, be there for you and Casey, cook you a dinner, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, no, you know, it's Casey's birthday. So we learned that the next day it's her birthday. And the coworker stops by anyway because she has to give him, like, some work stuff. And she also brings Casey a gift. And I was watching this with my boyfriend the first half of the movie, and he was like, who are you to show up with a gift?
Right? Like, first off, you offered to cook for him and his daughter, and he said no. Right. And then you still come. Oh, by the way, you forgot this on your desk or whatever she says. I'm like,
Yeah.
You just came by to drop it off, but you have a whole birthday present for Casey.
Like, girl, we're on to you. Like, I understand, like, at the end of the day, she's desperate, okay?
Very.
She wants that. We get that. But at the same time, you're breaking so many boundaries. Like, this man said, no, I'm focusing on spending quality time with my child. And then you just pull up anyway. It's a bit crazy, but whatever. And she gives Casey an Eve doll for her birthday. And I thought it was funny because when she opened the doll, then Casey's like, yuck. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, she is acting like a little booger.
Oh my gosh.
Like, Casey did not want that Eve doll. She didn't want it. She didn't care for it. She was kind of over it. And then that's when she's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to my room. And we learned that before this happened, Casey went to a bookstore and she got a book that basically has like spells where you can bring people back from the dead.
Samba Tarka Ishtanevarim.
Yeah.
When that clicked. When I watched it yesterday, I'm like, yes, I remember this spell. Samba Tarka Ishtanevarim. Like, it just came instantly to my memory. Like, I was just like, yes.
We stand.
Oh,
that
man.
Whoever came up with the freaking spell knows that they ate down, dude. And I was just like, looking back at it, I was so gagged because I did not realize that Casey basically stole that book as a kid. Like, that kind of just flew over my head. Like, that was $150 book. And she had, like, what, $70 or something like that?
I think so. I don't
and had the
remember.
nerve to put an IOU in there.
Yeah.
And beat it off and stole the book. I was like, girl.
Hey, at least she put a down payment, you know.
Literally.
At least she did that. Because most kids would have just been like, yep, let me just snatch it. But she took the time. I counted my money. Sorry, I don't have enough. Let me give you what I have, write you the note, and I'll come back.
Period. Women in STEM, honestly. Like, she was ahead of her time because most kids would not know about putting a down payment. She put that down payment on that freaking book and yeeted up out of that bookstore. So then when the next day, when it's her birthday, dad's coworker is over, she goes in the room and she's like, I'm about to cook this freaking spell up. And she realizes that she has to create an altar to bring her mom back, and she needs something of her mom. So she has her mom's hairbrush, which still has her hair in it. And that's when her dad's coworker comes up to her room and is like, hey, just wanted to say goodnight. And she ends up messing up the altar, and Casey is like freaking out. And that's when she like goes to clean it up, and then that's when the coworker realizes that Casey just like threw the Eve doll up on a shelf. And she's like, oh, so she like puts the stand up, you know, props Eve up, and then she like takes the hairbrush and like brushes Eve's hair. And that's when she doesn't realize that now Eve's hair is also in the hairbrush. So then when she leaves, Casey literally conjures off the spell, which is literally insane. And my boyfriend was like, ooh.
Your boyfriend's probably like, what do you have me watching right now?
Literally, because Juwan had never seen this movie, guys. And he was like, this is demonic. He was like, what in the witchcraft is actually happening? And he was like, this is a Disney movie? And then, like, when I thought about it, I'm like, okay, yeah. Like, playing around with the idea of doing spells, witchcraft, bringing people back from the dead, creating altars is insane. Like,
It is.
It really is. So he was like disturbed. I thought that was so funny. He was like, I am not having this. This is literally demonic. Like, what's going on? But the spell works, just not in the way that Casey intended it to work, because she didn't realize that the Eve doll's hair is now in the hairbrush. And instead of bringing her mom back to life, she brings the Eve doll back to life. So she wakes up the next morning. What were your thoughts like when you first saw Eve like come to life?
Before then, as a kid, I hated Drew. Drew's the coworker. She just vexed me so bad because I'm like, here, she wants to bring her mom back to life, and you ruined it. You ruined it. No one asked, even at the time, 8 years old, when I watched it and throughout my childhood, no one asked you to come here. You came here and you ruined everything. I just remember being so vexed as a child. Like, whenever she came on the screen, I'm just like, it's your fault. It's your fault. And as an adult, I went back to my child self. I was like, I hate her. I don't like you. You ruined it.
Like, that's
Oh my
understandable because, like we
gosh.
said, she just was like overstepping a bit. You know, and it's
Yes.
like, why do you gotta come upstairs and say goodnight? Like,
Why are you in her room? Why are you touching her things?
right? She was
The
just
brush,
like doing
like,
too
yeah.
much. Like, it's not even like you and my dad are even dating at
Exactly.
that. And I could see if you were like my official stepmom and you're just, you know, then that would kind of give her a little bit more reason to be like, oh, I'm just in your room, like, you know, helping you clean up, sweetie. Or, you know, then it's appropriate for me to come up here and say goodnight. You know, me and your dad have been dating for like a year. Okay, then maybe I can see you like wanting to kind of, you know, infiltrate into her space a little bit more in that way. But you're a coworker, sweetie. There's no
Yeah.
reason for you to even come up here and say goodnight. After you gave me the
Exactly.
present and I came back up to my room, you needed to leave.
Facts.
Like, what is going on with this
Oh
lady?
my
And then, like,
gosh.
seeing Eve come to life. Tyra
Yeah.
Banks, first of all, give her a 10.
Yeah,
Period.
she did good in that role.
She really, really did. Like, seeing her for the first time, like, in bed with Casey was crazy. Like, talk about, like, a first, like, introduction when we see her, like, come to life for the first time. Casey is shook. She's terrified. She's like, what the frick are you doing here? Who are you? What's going on? And then she realizes, oh, right, the spell did not work correctly. I accidentally brought this stupid doll to life instead of my mom. So she's really upset and she's like, I need to go back to the store and I need to get volume 2 of that book so that way I can turn you back into a doll. So basically they go back and forth and then she like goes back to the bookstore and she tells Eve, okay, you need to go in here, ask for volume 2 and we can do what we got to do to turn you back. But then in the end, Eve accidentally exposes her for stealing the first book, volume 1, in the first place. And then the store owner comes out. She's like, yeah, I know the girl who took volume 1. She's right there.
The pole pointing out. She's right there.
That was petty. Like, I didn't remember that part. So watching
Me
it as
neither.
an adult, I was like, Eve, what is going on? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Oh my gosh. I'm just
Saying,
like,
oh, there
no.
she is. She's the one who took it. Right. Like, read the room. Read the freaking room, Eve.
She's a doll with no brains.
Literally, like, the lights are on, no one's home. It's literally giving, it's crazy. So now that's when Casey's like, okay, guess I gotta run. So then she like runs away from the bookstore owner. She's dodging and weaving, and then next thing you know, we have a classic scene where she ends up like tripping, falls in like the middle of the road, and she almost gets hit by a car. That scene is still intense to me even as an adult, because I forgot that Eve, her way of saving Casey's life is to stand in front of Casey with her hand out, and then the truck just stops.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is she gonna do? Is she a meta? Like, is she gonna like push her hand? Does she have super strength to like stop the vehicle with her hand? But no, the truck just stops. I'm like, what's about to happen here?
Yeah. Yeah, as an adult too, watching it yesterday, I was wondering too, because I didn't remember that part. But I was like, oh. At the end when like it just stops inches away from her hand.
Yes,
like,
I thought it was gonna be an
oh.
Edward Cullen Twilight where like she puts a dent in the truck.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I thought that's what was gonna happen, but no, she just was serving. So that was interesting, and I basically her dad ends up being nearby because when he was in Casey's room, he was trying to figure out where the frick did Casey go. He sees the book on her desk and he's like, okay, maybe she's at the bookstore. So he had been looking for her, and then she coincidentally is like on a goose chase trying to run away from the bookstore owner at the same time, and then he ends up seeing everything happen where she runs away, falls in the middle of the street like we said. Eve saves her life. So then he runs over and he's like, Casey, are you okay? That's when he meets Eve and is up and is stuck after that. He's like, thank you so much for saving my daughter's life. And somehow it ends up escalating so quickly after that. I remember watching it and I'm like, whoa, everything's happening so fast. Like, this leads to her being invited to stay at their guest house because he learns that she doesn't have anywhere to stay, because he's like, where are you from? She's like, Sunnyvale. And he's like, right. Nobody knows where that is, Eve.
Sunnyvale.
Like, nobody knows where that is. She's like, I don't have my magic trunk with all my clothes. I don't have my clothes. He's like, okay, well, since you don't have nowhere to stay, you can stay in the guest house. If you don't have any clothes, then, you know, we can get you some clothes. So they end up going to the mall, and they end up going out to eat. And I loved the mall sequence as a kid, just because, like, you go up in the 2000s, when you're going to have a good, like, mall sequence in a movie. Every good movie has a mall moment.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. And the C'est La Vie song in the background.
Yes.
I think the group is Bewitched. I think that's what they're called.
We stand. That's one thing that I really loved about this movie was the soundtrack. Every song was just like so on brand for the time. And seeing that compilation, and I thought it was pretty funny when they go to try on the outfits and stuff at the mall. She's like, I don't know how to put my own clothes on.
Yeah. She's like, dress me. And then Casey's like, all right, I'm out of here. She's like, wait, Eve's never dressed herself before. Like, I guess that makes sense since you're a doll.
Literally. And then I thought it was interesting because then, like, when they got in the car to go to the mall, Eve was like turned around, like just wilding in the passenger seat, and he's like, oh, you should probably put your seatbelt on. And she's like, all right, safety first. She's just like turned up in every space, like she never seen nothing before, which understandably she hasn't seen that before. Yeah. So I think adding that like fascination and like wonder to like every single thing that she's doing for the first time was such a nice touch to the movie, I would say.
Yeah, she really did. Tyra Banks did a really good job in that, like acting in that role, like phenomenal. Yeah,
like the wonder, the excitement of it all. And then I thought one thing that she added was funny, where she says something about her car, how you have to push the car.
Oh yeah.
And I thought,
and then the dad's like, yeah, I used to have one of those.
Because he mentioned something about insurance or something about something having to get work done in the car, and I'm like, little do you know, she's talking about physically pushing.
Yeah, literally
the toy car.
Oh my gosh!
And it's just like little stuff like that, just like makes me think about like, you know, childhood and like girlhood and like, you know. Everybody's had a little toy car that they had to push around that you put your Barbies in, and you're like, let's go to the mall. So much fun. Up until I got my Bratz, I think it was the Bratz convertible or whatever it's called, where that one was like electronic and it came with a remote.
Okay.
Then you don't have to push that one.
That's high tech. Wow.
Exactly.
Remote
Working
control.
Radio.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in there listening to Luther Vandross, like, come on, ladies.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Oh,
I really loved Luther growing up because that's like one of my dad's favorites. Luther, Stevie Wonder. So my friends were like listening to the classics. Like, oh my goodness, because I didn't know how to go to like the like newer stations, so I was just in there listening to the oldies. So that little moment just like made me smile there. Do you have like any other like favorite moments like with the mall sequence or anything else?
Yeah, when they went to the restaurant and she's eating the butter, like the sliced butter. That I was like, oh yeah, I remember this scene, because she's opening up the bread. She's like, wow, real food. And then the dad's like, yeah, it's not like that cheap stuff. This is a good quality Italian food. But she's like thinking to herself, no, this is real food. So she's opening up the bread in wonder, smelling it. And then the dad's like, here's some butter. And she's like, she takes the butter, eats the butter just like that. And then Casey's just like, okay.
Casey was so over it at that restaurant.
Yeah, and I remember as a kid trying that, eating. I'm like, I wonder how butter would taste on its own. So I've tried that as a kid, still like secretly, just like Take a scoop of butter. Let me try this. No one's watching.
Learning what all the little things that I know about you now after our few collabs, like when you were saying that there were certain things that you would like reenact out with like Casper. Like, oh my God, that is so iconic. Like one thing about Shaleena, she's gonna see something in a movie and be like, as a kid.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Like learning that about you is so funny to me. Not the butter, because that's like so same. Like I've never had an original experience ever, right? Because we were all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I wondered the same thing with the slice of butter. Are you kidding me? And as like a butter lover, I was like, oh, I gotta see about this. I have to see about this. That was so funny. The way that she had the roll stuffed up her nose, you would think she was going to try to like snort it. Like, what's going on, girl? That was crazy. Yeah. That roll looked good too. I was like, I didn't know that hit. It did. So that whole sequence was really, really funny. Them all out to eat, getting in the car, everything about it was just done so well. And then that's when we also learned that like Eve doesn't have a job right now, but she's like, I know how to do a little bit of everything. Hence a little bit a lot. Okay, so you need help. You need help with anything, I got you. And he's like, okay, well, I need a secretary. And she's like, I'm a good secretary, period. So then he's like, okay, well, you can come up to my job. Like, not only does she get a mall trip, she gets taken to dinner, she gets a free place to stay, then she also gets a job offer all in the same day. Is literally
she's
insane.
Eve.
Literally.
She's great.
No matter where she goes. Like, clearly. I was like, whoa, I did not realize that all of this happens like within the same day. Like all of these opportunities just falling in her lap. And then we get like, I think one of the most iconic parts of the film to me is when she goes up to Casey's dad's job the next day and she's like, okay, period, like I can be a secretary. And he's like, okay, I need you to do this, this, and this. And her antics in that office had me cackling then and had me cackling now, because the way that she's like boop 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 clicking around on the computer, deleting files.
I'm just like, oh snap. I did not realize this as a kid, what she was actually doing, deleting the confidential files and everything. I'm like, oh no. But then the Richie guy, I think that was his name, Ben's coworker.
Yes, Casey's like, dad's friend.
Yeah, he's like, let me help you with that. And he restores the files. I'm just like, whew.
Thank God. Dang. Thank God. Because I was like, what are they going to do? She's deleting important files. Are you kidding me?
With a big smile on her face. Literally.
And it's not like they're just like anywhere. Like he works at a law firm. Okay, so like these seem like pretty important files. And I never realized that Casey's dad's friend / coworker, he was like immediately hitting on Eve. Like that just kind of like completely, I forgot about that. So I'm like, not him trying to get on Eve. And he like quickly like low-key tries to ask for consent, like, oh, you're not feeling that because I want to get on that. And tries to like hit on Eve. And then the rest of the day she literally just like wreaks havoc in the office. There's a scene where her hair is a mess and she's like accidentally like jamming the printer. The printer is like going crazy. The whole room is just full of papers flying everywhere. Then the moment where she's like, the iconic moment where she's typing on the computer and then she's like smiling and then it shows that she's just like ABCD
gibberish.
Literally gibberish.
JKFLOP 1 2 semicolon
asterisk JKFL 6874.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that scene took me out.
Literally,
when I
like,
watched
was
it
that
yesterday.
one of your favorites as a kid too?
It was, yeah. But it was a lot. I think I found it a lot more funnier now.
Yes.
Like as a kid, I'm just like, what is she doing? You don't get fired. But as an adult, I'm just like, I was just laughing. I was just like, wow. And then the dirty look that, is it Helen? The person that's showing her around gives her.
Yes.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, because for those who don't know, she also had kind of like almost like a babysitter for the day. One of the ladies in the office, and she just seems like relatively grumpy when we first meet her.
Yep.
And then on top of that, she's like, okay, like, then it was funny to me because I didn't realize the part, I forgot about that, where she's like, all right, well, we need some information for your employee file. Like, what's your first and last name? Eve. I don't have a last name.
She gives her the dirtiest look.
I'm over it. She's like, girl, what do you mean you have a last name? And she's like, okay, city. And then she says, is it Sunnyvale?
Sunnyvale.
Sunnyvale. And then she's like, right. And she's like, what state? Where the sun always shines.
Yeah, she's like, Sunshine State. And then she's like, oh, Florida. She writes it down.
Like, that is what took me clean out. I'm like, there's so many gems and layers to the day in the office alone that had me keying. I was like, girl, what is going on? And then, like, after it's all said and done, then Eve is like, finally has a moment where she's like, for the first time, truly defeated. And she's like, wait, like, I thought I was eating it up, but like, clearly this day has not been it. Like, I've actually caused chaos, destruction, mayhem, and I actually don't know what the frick I'm doing as a secretary, and this has been awful. And she's just like getting so perfectionist core, right? She's like, I'm supposed to be perfect at everything. I'm supposed to be good at everything. Like, I'm Eve. And then that's when the Helen lady is like, sweetie, and I thought she was going to be rude, but she was surprisingly like really nice to her in that moment. And she was like, listen, you know, not everybody's like and everything, you know, you gotta just get in where you fit in, basically. And then she kind of like had a vulnerable moment where she was like, you know, there's this guy in the office, like, he won't even look at me, and somehow, some way, that ends up leading to Eve giving her a makeover. And I forgot about that. What were your thoughts on the makeover?
I love the makeover scene. I was like, yes, it's coming. It's coming. She looked so beautiful, all glammed up. And it wasn't even a lot of makeup either. It was like a nice natural touch to it. But even how Eve did her hair, because before it just was like glued to her face, just straight phone down. Right. And then Eve like fluffed it up a bit. And she was smiling. Like,
that smile was gorge.
Right.
I was like, wait, like her face literally brightened up. I'm like, Eve, talk about a makeover. Eve killed that. She looked great. So that whole day was just such a good touch to add to the movie, in my opinion. And then that's when we learned that Casey's dad is also having a work party. And before the party, Casey is like, I'm still over Eve. This girl has got to go. And she's trying to convince her dad that, like, hey, I got something to tell you. That book of spells, I conjured up a spell. Eve was brought back to life, and she fully comes clean, which I didn't realize that she did. She was like, I don't know how else to put it plainly, but this is exactly what happened. 1, 2, 3, Dad. Like, she's a doll. That's that. And her dad's like, okay, I'm gonna believe
What would you do if your child said that to you? Like, I was just trying to put myself in the dad's shoes. Just like, what would I actually do if my child was like, hey, Mom, gotta tell you something. It's just like, you know that neighbor? Well, it's really my Ken doll that I conjured up. Like, what would you say?
I think in theory, I would end up probably, because I thought about that too. And you're like, you're looking at her dad and you're like, come on, guy, like, you're being so gullible. But at the same time, it does sound insane. It absolutely sounds insane. Because even believing that spells like this could even actually work is crazy. And I know at this point, he's probably just over it. He's like, Casey, listen, okay? I keep trying to tell you, your mom's gone. So at this point, I get where he's at, where he's like, this is literally just like a broken record. Like, she's gone. We need to move on. He doesn't even want to talk about the mom. So I can see why he especially is like, I don't want to talk about this. But I probably wouldn't believe my kid either. Like, would you?
Yeah. I think I'd be freaked out by it. I'd be like, okay, let's do a little prayer tonight. Let's get the sage out.
Literally. Okay, I'm
Sage
gonna
the room.
get exorcism. Right. We need to get those demons up out of you, sweetie. It's okay. It's not gonna hurt. Just sit back. We're gonna tie you up, right? And we're gonna help you feel better. You'll feel better.
Gosh.
Perform the exorcism. Because what? That is literally insane. I thought it was interesting because she's like, okay, I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove it to you that this girl is a freaking doll. And she realizes that she has a certificate of authentication. I never know how to say that word.
Yeah. Authenticity. I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah. And she realizes, and she ends up going to the store where they sell the Eve dolls, and she asks them about it, and she's like, what does this, like, you know, certificate mean? And basically the lady's like, yeah, you know, it comes with a serial number. Each doll has its own serial number, and it's also, like, written on the bottom of their foot. So she's like, period. When the next time I sneak up on that foot, I'm going to see if she's got that serial number on there, and it's over for you. Meanwhile, while Casey's plotting this up, they end up going to the work party, and Eve ends up going as the +1 for her dad's coworker.
Richie.
Yes, Richie. So Eve walks up in the party. She's turning it out. First of all, love Eve's party outfit.
Stellar.
Yes. And then we see that her dad is low-key, like, drooling over Eve when she walks up in the party. And he's also, like, there with the one female coworker who's, like, constantly overstepping.
Yeah. Drew.
Yes. And they're both like, whoa, you know, shout out to Eve. Eve's here. And throughout the night, Eve is just, like, eating food, you know, discovering new foods. She's dancing. She's getting lit. Somehow she ends up smacking the one Richie in the face.
Yeah, what she learned on TV when she was watching a movie when she was getting ready for the party and saw like a woman smacking a guy in the face because he was being forward. So then she's like, let me try this. So she smacks, because Richie's like, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. And then she smacks him, and then he's like, what was that for? And then she's like, wasn't I supposed to do that?
You were being forward. And he was like,
Yeah.
You know what? You're right. You're right.
Oh, man.
That scene, I didn't understand as a kid.
Me neither. Yeah. Me neither. I'm just like, oh, he's just smacking.
Right. Because,
Okay.
like, I didn't know what he meant by let's get out of here, let's get out of here. I'm like, oh, he wants to leave the party. Like, no big deal. But now I know, like, he totally was being forward in that moment. And then that's when Eve also ends up having a dance with Casey's dad, and that was like a really cute moment. And then towards the end of the party, Eve just ends up being like, okay, DJ, we need a request, you know, do you know Shine Bright? Is that the name of the song?
Be a star. Be a star.
And they was like, no, but you know, we can, you know, catch
Figure
up
it
with
out.
you. Eve turns the party up.
She does.
Eve turns the freaking party up, guys.
I love how, I know it's a movie, but how the guy's like, okay, just sing a few songs and we'll fill in the rest, and like, you know, we'll what's the word? Improvise.
Right, we'll improvise.
So she goes, Eve's great. And then you hear the piano, no matter where she goes. I'm like, how do you know that was a key? That was really quick. All she did was, Eve's great, no matter where she goes. And then you hear the piano key, ding, 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 dress her up. She's like, yeah. Just like, that was
Shaleena
quick.
said bombastic side eye. How do you know? What's going on, guys? What's going on? That's some improvisation, right? No, that sucks. For real. Because what?
Man.
We need to talk about Eve's signature song.
Yes.
Shine bright, shine hard, don't be scared. Be a star. Where you
Where you
live,
live, where you are, be a star.
Like,
Dun,
what?
dun.
That song went triple platinum
Yeah.
in my crib.
Yep. Won a
Are you-
Grammy
Literally.
and won 2 Grammys.
But
Like,
for real. Song of the year.
In my house.
Performance of the year.
Yep. Exactly.
breakout star of the best new artist.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? Every freaking accolade at the Grammys in 2000, she deserved off that song. Because that, you want to talk about an original movie song? There's so many original movie songs out there, but this is a top tier for me.
Definitely. Same here.
Yes. Like her signature song, Eats Down. Okay, are you kidding me? Like, not only is it about saying like I'm great, right? Like I'm that girl, but at the same time, we all know like I stand for like those type of empowerment songs like growing up, where it's like teaching girls like where you live, where you are, be a star. It don't matter where you going. You can shine bright. You can shine far. Don't be scared. Be a star.
Yep.
Like, that touched me as a kid. I'm like, you know what? Right. Right.
Same. Yeah, it was great. I thought what was so funny was in that same scene, she was dancing with a man, like getting him to participate, and then someone like whispers to Ben, you know who she's dancing with? He was like some like top head honcho guy, but like when she was bringing him in on the floor, she's like doing that body roll. I was just like, oh. Oh, and then the man's like, whoa. I was just
You
like,
didn't give two
that's
freaks.
hilarious.
Are you kidding me right now?
not the body roll with the man,
Literally.
the old man.
So we're gonna turn up. We're gonna turn up. That's what they do. Turn up. Because Eve's gonna turn the party out no matter where she is. Are you serious? And she did that.
Yeah.
I never, like, as a kid, that just fascinated me so much. I'm like, whoa. Like, I ain't know somebody could turn the party up like that. She did that. That was just an incredible night. Incredible performance on Eve's behalf. After they turn the party up, they come back. They're outside the guest house by the pool. And there's this, like, cute little romantic moment between Eve and Casey's dad where they're just like, wow, like, isn't it nice outside? Like, look at the stars. Like, the stars have names. Like, look at the constellations. And they're like, right. And then they almost kiss. And that's when Casey's like, pull up, skirt. Are you serious? No Bryson Tiller? Like, cut the brakes. Like, serious right now. And she is crying. And Eve's like, your eyes, they're watery.
Yeah, she's like, they're wet.
They're wet. Your eyes are wet. Like, Eve, cut it out. Cut it out, girl. Like, are you serious right now? And Casey is over it. She sees them about to kiss, and she accuses her dad of falling in love with Eve. And she's like, basically giving the energy of, you're trying to replace mom with Eve. And she's like, I hate you. Which, whoa.
Yo, whenever I would see kids in movies or TV shows say that to their parents, I'm just like, wow. I could never. Or family, or not family, my friends, like if my friends said that to their parents, I'm just like, no, for real. I remember one time when I was little, I said that to my sister. I got toe up. I got toe up from the flow up. Shout out to you, Dad. No shade, no tea. I understand the lesson you were trying to teach me, because he was like, listen, you don't do that. You know, all you gonna have at the end of the day, you know, when it all said and done, is your sister. You know, that's your girl. Like, especially you being a big sister, like, you supposed to be there for her. And I'm like, learn a lesson then. You don't just say you hate somebody out of nowhere, and like those words, you know, hold weight. Typical white dad fashion. She ain't get toe up or nothing. He's just like, all right, sweetie, sleep tight. We'll talk in the morning. Closes the door.
Because as an adult, I was like, ooh, I'm thinking something gonna happen after that. Like, they're gonna go back and forth. But he was
I knew
like,
something wasn't going to happen. I was like, I remember this. Next scene.
Literally cuts to the next scene. No punishment, no woofing, no talking to. He just said, I hate you. And then that was that. He was like, hands up. Enough said. Whatever. She said what she said. I was like, oh, right. This is not a black family. I forgot where I was.
This is not Medea. Medea's. What's that one that Keke Palmer's in?
Yes.
Medea's family reunion, I think. No, I forget the one that Keke Palmer's in.
Tore into them kids.
Oh man,
that you gonna learn some lessons today. Yeah. So she should be lucky that Medea wasn't there. Because what? That was crazy. And then the next day, Casey's like going through it at football practice because she's just like, I hate my dad. I hate life. You know, he's falling in love with Eve. Eve's trying to replace my mom. Like, everything literally sucks. And that's when Eve stops by at her practice. And that's when she's wearing that green raincoat. Mm-hmm. 8 down. I'm like, look at you. Like, showing up to practice, like, serving face.
Yep.
Down. And that's when they kind of have like a sentimental moment. And, you know, Eve learns about like how her mom passed away. And Casey tells her that like everything was fine. She just went in for a checkup. They found, you know, something. And the next thing you know, she was gone. And Eve is just like, because at first she was basically saying like being human is easy. You know, like it's all fun. It's all games. Like, why are you tripping? And why are you always so upset all the time? Yeah. And Casey's like, girl, life is real. Life is hard. People will literally like drop at a dime. Like, my mom is dead. Okay, like you don't know nothing about loss. You don't know nothing about pain. You don't know nothing about hurt. And I think that was like a good lesson for Eve to learn. Like, it's not all Gucci over here the way you think it is over in your like Barbie world, your doll land. And that's when I really love that Eve was like, hey, you know, I'm sorry for that. Like, you deserve to go through that. Like, every girl deserves to have her mom. So that was a touching moment. And the next day, that's when I thought it was interesting. Casey's dad's coworker, was it Drew, you said? Yep. She was like, did you see Eve's employee file?
Now someone notices.
Literally. She's like, it's sus. Like, where she says she's from, the last 3 jobs she had.
She worked at NASA. She was a police officer.
And I thought
she was a doctor.
Right. And then that day when she was in office and the Helen lady asked her, what was your last position? She said, oh, sitting.
Oh, yeah.
Girl, what? She's like, no, your last job?
Oh my goodness.
Like, some of those jokes were like, okay, you got me. You freaking got me there. Gosh. Are you serious? So yeah, Drew's like, listen, after that party, I gotta look into this girl, you know? And she's like, you don't think that none of this stuff in her file is suspicious? And of course her dad's like, hey, she's a little, you know, kooky, but ain't nothing wrong with the girl. She's harmless, you know, she's Gucci. And then that's when Drew's like, okay, well, you know, maybe I'm a little jealous. And he was like, right, thanks.
Yo.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yo. Lady. You're just not doing a good job right now. Like, no. Like, I was just shaking my head. I was just like, no, you did not just say that. Even if you felt it, it's fine. But I'm just like, no, this is not how you're going to get his attention. This is not the way to do it. You went to his house unannounced when he told you not to. Strike 1. You give her the doll, strike 2. You went in her house, strike 3. Like, there's too many strikes. Then on top of that, you're going to, like, tell him you're jealous. I don't know. And then he's like, I'm kind of glad you are jealous. Just like.
And then it kind of ends there. And it's like.
Yeah. I'm just like, She smiles. She, like, smiles and, like, turns around and skips to her desk.
Like, okay, girl. You
like,
got date.
Okay.
I'm feeling bad for her at this point, okay? Because I don't know how much more desperation she has to give for him to literally get a freaking clue. He's not picking it up. And he don't care. He doing a typical man. Like, are you serious? He doesn't give 2 actual craps about even her saying, she's like, oh, I'm glad you're jealous, but like, he don't really care.
Yeah.
In that moment, he's just all about Eve. He even tells Eve, like, girl, every time I'm around you, I just be forgetting about work. I be forgetting about life. And she's like, yeah. You know, turn up. Turn up. You too serious. You too
Be a
serious.
star. Shine bright. Rihanna.
No, Rihanna. Do your big one. You're a dad. You have a lovely daughter. Shine bright. Turn up. Are you serious?
Oh, man.
Dude, oh my God. So then this is like also like happening while Casey's like going through that practice and the dad's standing up for Eve. So then after Eve and Casey have their little sentimental moment at practice, she's like, when you come back home, I'm gonna have a surprise for you. Eve goes back home. She tries to cheer Casey up by like cooking her something. Child, she done burnt the house down almost. Are you serious? I totally forgot about this scene, but it's like perfect chaos.
Yeah.
I love how they make this moment like literally chaotic. Casey comes home. She has to get the fire extinguisher, puts out the fire. She's like, girl, you almost burnt the house down. And then Eve has like another meltdown. And she's like, girl, like, I actually don't know how to do anything. And this is why I really, really felt bad for Eve, because she's like, I'm so stupid. And I'm like, ugh, Eve.
Yeah. No, I'm like, yep, you are. It's like, come on. Like, first off, she's
yep,
like,
you are.
all in fun. I'm not a mean person. I promise, listeners.
No, that is
all in
called for,
fun.
because girl, what?
Yes.
You have to literally do a literal what is it? Not renter's insurance. Whatever.
Oh,
on the house. We have to file a claim messing with you for a house fire. Are you serious?
The first flag, Eve, because she's like looking for her cookbook. She's like, where's my cookbook? It's the one with the stars. Where's my cookbook? I'm like, girl,
Yeah,
you don't
her
even know how to
magic
read.
cookbook.
You don't know how to read.
Literally,
You're typing.
She was trying to look at the menu, and she's
Yeah.
like, I don't know how to read this. And he's like, yeah, it's, fancy Italian. No, I don't know how to read.
Yes. I'm like, that's the red flag there. You should have stopped and wait till Casey come home.
Right.
But I mean, she tried, but thankfully Casey came, saved the day just in time.
Thankfully, thank God.
And this moment, Eve is starting to realize again that she's not perfect, being a human is like, there's no such thing as being a perfect human, which this is the message that she's getting throughout her experience. I think the first one was at the office when she was made a whole mess,
right,
with Helen, and then at the employee dinner, when she was dancing with Ben, like that tango thingy. Mm-hmm. She like kind of messed up, and she's like, I don't understand. I'm the best dancer in Sunnyvale.
Yeah,
I don't understand. I'm the best receptionist in Sunnyvale. Well, you ain't at Sunnyvale, okay?
Girl, you is not home. You are not freaking home. Are you serious?
Yeah, that kitchen scene, like at the end, where even though she has her meltdown, it's a good message for her to learn. And then that's where she starts bonding with Casey, and Casey like starts to soften up, which was very sweet.
Yes, it's so sweet. And she's like, look at you look a mess. And she's like, look at your reflection. And they start laughing about it. And like at first Eve's like, ain't nothing funny, sweetie. Okay. Do you see a smile on my face? Get the frick out of my face. I thought that was so funny because Eve was not having it at first. That's when they really start to bond. Then they end up like both having to take a shower because it's literally a mess. They clean up. And like that bonding moment after they take their shower and they're just sitting there like looking like mom and daughter, and Eve's like brushing her hair. That scene.
That was sweet.
She's like, you have like such a beautiful smile and you have such beautiful eyes, Casey. She'll push your hair back some more sometimes, like girlhood isn't so bad. You don't have to like always push that away, which we learned like before she was in her tomboy era. Like she did hang around with the girls at one point, which Sarah. I meant to comment on earlier because when they had first saw Casey at the going to the bookstore to get that volume 1, the spell book or whatever, they were like, her friends were like, yeah, basically being like, Casey's weird now, you know, like, can't she just get over it? And I'm like, hey, not too much. Like, I can't stand
Very
that.
insensitive.
Literally, that's literally just like Princess Diaries, when Lily's like talking to Mia and she's like, you're still not over that? That was like 2 months ago. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Oh. That's the movie you gotta. Have you covered that movie on your podcast?
I have not yet, but
we'll
we
cover
need
that
to.
one. Yes. Oh,
Yes.
I have a lot to say about Lily.
Yes, dude. Like, wake it up, especially with the new Princess Diaries that's allegedly coming.
Oh?
Yes, we're supposed to get a new Princess Diaries, I think. Or is it Freaky? I might be getting it confused with Freaky Friday. I know for sure we're getting another Freaky Friday, but I could have swore we're getting another Princess Diaries.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, don't quote me on the Princess Diaries one, but yeah. Either way, I can't stand when they add like characters in that when it comes to death of being like, it's just, she get over it by now, and it's like, girl, you can't. There's no timeline
Exactly.
on grief in that way. Then that's when her dad like walks in. He's like, oh, like look at them, they're so cute. And then the next day, Casey ends up having like her last game of the season or whatever. And before the game, you know, Eve is like chilling, you know, getting ready for the day. And that's when she sees on TV that they're discontinuing the Eve dolls. And that's when Casey comes in and she's like, hey, Eve, like, you know, the volume 2 of the book is here, but like, we don't even need it no more because we're friends now, you know? Like, we're gals, we kiki. So you can stay human, you know, because the time is coming up. And because I guess, what is it? Like, she has to do it, turn her back to a doll after a certain time.
Yeah, I think after, I think after 4 days or so, it becomes permanent if they don't reverse the spell.
Yes.
And that was the 4th day.
Right. But that's when Eve is kind of like, well, wait, because now that I'm seeing that they're like getting ready to cancel the Eve dolls, like, she isn't too sure because she's like, I actually am considering maybe I need to go back so that way I can save my dolls from, you know, being canceled. But she ends up like going to her big game, and then her dad finally understands the importance of like showing up, and he's like at work. And what are your thoughts about that? Because that was so sweet to me.
It was sweet, but as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, it's like the last couple of minutes of the movie, the deadbeat parent like turns around. The last 5 minutes. But I mean, I guess. But it was sweet when he's like, you know what? He's sitting in the meeting waiting for people to show up, and he's like to his coworkers, I haven't been to my daughter's game in a whole year, and this is the last game of the season. I gotta be there.
And she's the quarterback.
And he's like, you know what? If this means I'm not gonna make partner, so be it. I already lost a person close to me. I'm not going to lose another. And then I'm like, are you talking about your wife? Like, won't you just say, I already lost my wife? Like,
I thought the same thing. I was really confused. Like, was he talking about Casey or was he talking about the wife? I don't know.
Yeah. that was a weird movie line. Like, that was a weird line.
Yeah. And we stand, you know, like you said, deadbeat showing up at the last minute, like literal last game is crazy work. Yeah. When even Eve has shown up to a practice before you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? And then he shows up and Casey sees him in the crowd, and it's like this whole cute little moment, and Eve is there, and she is like, just, they end up having like a sentimental moment once the game is over between Casey and her dad, and you're just like, aw. And then that's when Eve like looks around and she just sees like all these like moments of like humanity, like, you know, the feelings of like the mom and dad and daughter having a moment. You know, there was this couple near her, like, you know, a kid having a moment over there, and her eyes get wet for the first time.
She's just like, wait, what is this?
The way she touches the lid.
I know. Yeah, that's exactly good reenactment.
I was like, right. That's what I do when my eyes get wet too. Singular lid touch.
Oh my gosh, that's
Demure.
so funny.
You have to demurely wipe away The tears.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
I was like, right, Eve. Will's eyes got wet, and she was like, you know what? And like, what are your feelings on the internal battle that Eve is having? Like, do you think Eve is right to be like, no, as much as I love this moment, I gotta go back? Or do you think she could have just stayed human?
That's a good question. I never thought of that. I think she wanted to go back to her goal of helping as many girls as possible, and I don't think she would be able to do that goal just staying human. Maybe she could have like created some sort of girl empowerment program. I don't know.
Right.
But I understood why she decided like I need to go back being a doll, and like save my brand. But yeah.
I agree. I think that if it's about the mission, and I love that, like, regardless of how clueless Eve is, she's gonna know what she's here for and what she was made for, you know, her purpose and her mission statement. And she stuck to that throughout the film. I mean, there's the moment at the party where she's like, and that's how I help empower girls.
Yeah.
And the people walked away, and she's like, why did they walk away? Like,
What did I say? Yeah.
Like, one thing about Eve, she's not gonna forget that mission statement. Are you serious right now? Like, she's going to stay and stick to the brand and remember the original purpose. Like, what was the reason? No Cardi B. You know what I mean? What was that reason? Like, are you kidding me? That's the reason. Helping the girls. So yeah, I just had like a little bit of introspection with that moment, because it's like, you know, you could debate, like you said, would she be better, you know, being human? That's a good idea. She could have started a program. She could have started a, you know, nonprofit or something like that to help out, you know, a bunch of little girls, and like she could have been a great stepmom. But I think that it was like a really good choice that the creators made of the movie to make Eve have that selfless moment of being like, no, I gotta do what's right. And to me, that is going back to being a doll. Like, it's a sacrifice that she's made because of how much she's enjoyed being a human. But I love that they stressed that, like, this is the necessary move to make. And so once Casey finds out that Eve is like on her way back to the headquarters, the people that make her doll, the company, Casey chases after her, and Eve's like, talks to the receptionist guy, the security guy. She's like, I'm here, I'm home. And he's like, okay.
Okay, this scene, I got my answers afterwards, but I don't know if you caught what he said. So she's like, sir, I'm home. And then he responds, you're late, follow the footsteps. I'm like, wait, does he know that she's the doll?
Right.
Like, I was so confused. But then we get a clarification afterwards when Casey and Ben come in, and she's like, have you seen this girl that looks like a doll? And then he's like, oh, you mean the model? Yeah, I sent her the paycheck. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, so she was like there to pick up her check.
A paycheck, because he thought she was a model for like one of the shoots.
Oh, okay. See, thanks for clearing that up, because I'm like, maybe he knows. Maybe he freaking knows, dude. Okay, that makes sense.
Maybe he's Zombatarka-ish to never even.
No, that's so real. That's so real. Maybe he is, dude. Because at this point in this story, anything is possible. Are you serious? So I'm like, who am I to second guess? Who am I to question? I don't want to question Nan in this reality. Are you serious?
Oh my gosh.
No, they ate that. And then her like walking down the hallway was just like so sentimental, seeing all of like her iconic moments as a doll. And you know, then that's when Casey barges in and she's like, Eve, no, like, we love you. And I'm like, oh, that's sweet. That was so sweet.
It was.
And that's, I feel like this scene is what I feel like ultimately makes this movie triggering for me at the same time, because this, like, Life Size was a movie that, as much as I loved it and I've seen it so many times, I had to have like the emotional space to hold for it with every watch as a kid, because I've always just been such a big empath, and movies have always made me cry a lot and take a lot out of me emotionally. So as a kid, whenever I would watch this, I would be sobbing during this part. Like, I'm literally getting chills thinking about it right now. Like, there is something about that scene being like, no, we love you, you can't go. And Eve's like, I gotta do what I gotta do, you know, and all the lessons you've taught me so much, you know, I can apply that in the doll world and, you know, help other girls. And it's like, oh my God, it's the raw feeling that Tyra Banks and Lindsay Lohan are able to portray in the scene used to literally emotionally tax me as a kid, and to this day I'm like,
Aww. That's so sweet. That's such a sweet memory.
yes. So it's like I used to always have like conflicting feelings of Life Size, because as much as I would want to watch it, some days I'm like, I ain't got anything to watch it today, because the movie is sad.
Yeah.
Like, I used to just associate Life Size with being a sad movie because of that. So do you have any like final thoughts about like this big moment, you know, before Eve send off?
I was like, as I was watching it yesterday with the adult eyes, I was just really fixated on the dad. I was like, how is he gonna react? Because like when Lindsay is bringing him down the hall and he's seeing the Eve pictures,
Right.
he's just like, it's like starting to click. He's like, huh. And then at the end, when like Eve is talking to Casey, he's like, so is this really true?
Yes.
You're a doll? He's just there. Just like, oh, all right.
It's like he still didn't want to believe it. Down to
Yeah.
the very last moment when she shrunk into doll form, he's like,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna believe it.
Yeah.
I can't believe it, Jesus.
But but I thought it was sweet how Eve said, all the lessons I've learned from you, Casey, I'm going to take it back, which she does when we see the new doll at the end of the movie, and she uses the saying that her dad used to say about her smile.
Yes.
The 100-watt smile or something like that.
Yes. And so instead of like traditionally when you move the Eve doll, she'd be like, you're my special friend. She changed it to, you got the 100-watt smile or whatever. And I thought that was really cute. And Eve ends up like accomplishing her mission, and she ends up like changing up things with the dolls, and I'm guessing like makes them more relatable. So then the toys end up not being canceled, and her brand basically gets a revival essentially. Next thing you know, and they're walking down the street, Casey and her dad, they pass by the toy store, and the girlies are eating the Eve dolls up now.
Yep, lined up all the way down the block.
Yes, lined up down the block. And then that's when Casey also sees her friends, and she's like, hey gals, like, I want to hang out. And they're like, oh, hey girl, I got lots to tell you, catch up about. And I'm like, oh, so now she's back with her girlies, hanging out with her friends. And then somehow, some way, that darned Drew shows
That Drew, I tell you.
Shaleena's op.
Man, she. Oh my gosh.
I'm like, girl, where did you come from? Like, what? Why are you just hanging out over here? Like, they're literally having a daddy-daughter stroll, and she pops up. Like, ooh, jump scare. Like,
And she's like, I'll take you to dinner for making partner.
literally. Like, girl, okay. But apparently he's feeling that, right? So we can only assume they end up like getting together. And you know, I truly love how much like the experience that she had with Eve, Casey, you know, helped her, you know, heal something in her and just see like a better, you know, more positive outlook on life, you know, because Eve was telling her like, you don't have to be so guarded, like you can open up more, you can trust people, you know, the people that are there for you type of energy. And that was just an important lesson. I feel like for, people who are just going through a hard time, period. Like, sometimes the world is not out to get you, and you can lean into still choosing joy through your pain at the same time. Like, you can try to chase both. And I love how, Casey really tried to turn her outlook on life around at the end. So, yeah, I think that was like a perfect ending to the movie. I have not watched Life Size 2. Have you?
I think I've seen some of the scenes. I watched the trailer before this recording just to see if I remember much of it. I don't think I watched it straight through. And when I watched it, what I've seen from it, I remember just having the thoughts of like, oh, this is a downgrade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I'm willing to try it again. That was like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I personally think that when it comes to movies, like Princess Diaries having a second one, okay, makes sense. Freaky Friday, okay, they're going to do another one. That makes sense. But Life Size 2, we didn't need that.
And she's not even with a kid. She's with a grown woman.
Right.
She's helping a grown woman. Yeah.
And the girl that they choose, I like her in Grownish.
Yes, Francesca.
And she was on, yes.
Yeah.
And then I forgot that she was in The Secret Life of American Teenager or whatever. Mm-hmm. I watched a 2-hour-long video about that show recently.
Did you?
Yes.
Send that, because I used to like that show. So send that on.
Okay, I'll have to find it, because there's this girl randomly on my explore page on YouTube, and she basically did an expose talking about the show. And I watched it over the course of a week, because ADHD, it takes me forever to finish YouTube videos sometimes, especially when it's that long. And she talked about the show in depth, and I'm like, I never watched the show, so I want to learn everything there is to learn. And surprisingly, I made it through the whole video, and I'm like, whoa, these characters were crazy. And her character in that show, they put her through the ringer.
Oh yeah.
So, I'll try to link that in the description, guys. I want to watch that, even though it's totally unrelated.
Oh man. Oh my gosh.
So yes, and that is Life Size. I truly think that this is one of one, and like I said, it does not need a sequel. So let us know in the comments if you have watched the sequel and what are your thoughts on it. But more importantly, let us know what your thoughts are on the original. Shout out to Tyra Banks. Shout out to Lindsay Lohan.
Yes.
Love you guys down. Just Tyra ate this. I mean, I don't really know any other roles that Tyra has done outside of this. Do you?
I think she was in Coyote Ugly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen that. Me neither, but I know. I think she's in that one. I think I remember seeing her face on the cover. But I don't know if she's done any other. I mean, she's been on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She plays a love interest. And that's all I know.
Yeah. And then more recently, her hosting Dancing with the Stars. People had a lot of thoughts about that, because my mom and my sister are Dancing with the Stars stans, and they did not like her as a host.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, but when it came to Life Size, she ate down. Any other thoughts or anything you'd like to add about the movie?
Let me check my notes here. No, yeah, I think overall it was a fun rewatch. I think Lindsay Lohan is an incredible actress. She was something special. Still is something special. But as a kid, her range. And I was just going through her IMDb movies from the early 2000s. After this, she did, I think, Get a Clue. Do you remember that one?
I never watched it, but I do remember.
Oh, yeah, that one's a good one. Get a Clue,
Yeah.
Freaky Friday, Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen.
Drama Queen.
So many. Within a short amount of time span, too. Every other year, she was, putting out a movie.
Right. She was literally booked and busy. And then even later down to, Mean Girls. She had an iconic career.
Yeah.
And I've seen more recently that she's been getting back. I think she recently did some Netflix movie.
Yep, she did two. There's, I don't remember the names. There's one where she loses her memory from a skiing accident. And then there's another one where her ex, so she has a boyfriend, and then her ex has a girlfriend, and then the girlfriend and the boyfriend are brothers and sisters, and they meet each other at like a family Christmas event. I forget what that one's called. That one's interesting. I think the guy from Pretty Little Liars, the teacher, Ezra, I think he's in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I really want to look into those and see how are those holding up. Because I'm like, I miss her being on my TV, dude.
Yeah.
I miss her being on that big screen. Like, she's just so iconic. Was she in... Was that her or Hilary Duff? That was in, what's it, Herbie?
That was her. That was Lindsay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I need to watch that, too.
Yeah.
I think that one actually might be on Disney. Was that a Disney movie?
I think so. Yeah, it was a Disney remake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was iconic. But thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it.
No problem. This was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. And like I said at the beginning of the episode, like, comment, subscribe on both of our YouTube channels. Rate that 5 stars. Leave those reviews on Apple and Spotify. And with that, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Cause I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby. I'm not going home with y'all.